I think people are taking it more serious and they're getting scared and that because it's like it's not going away, you know. It's like one of them kind of things where you keep thinking, well, maybe the next record they're gonna fucking start softening. I tell everybody, man, the only thing that gets soft is butter and shit, man. We're not getting soft.
Yeah! Welcome, lovely addicts. That was a little message from a much younger Glenn Benton back in 1995 when I guess people were expecting Deicide to start to get soft. Well, the album that we're going to be reviewing this evening for y'all is far from being soft. As a matter of fact, it is quite good. So many different opinions. We have our opinions. You all have your opinions. This is going to be a great introspection into this amazing record that Deicide just dropped on the 26th. And we can't wait for you guys to hear what we have to say. We're looking forward to hearing what you got to say about this motherfucking banger. So you know what time it is. Share it. Everywhere. You know somebody that loves metal, Deicide, death metal, Florida death metal. Let's motherfucking go this evening because I've been hearing from people all day that they've had a shitty day, and so have I. So guess what? Let's do some metal therapy here. We're gonna really get down to the nitty-gritty on this one. But before we get into that, what day is it? If that, look, right there, fucking Hoofbeast is twirling around like a fucking schoolboy. If that didn't brighten your day just a little bit, something's wrong with you. But for real, though, we're going to take a quick commercial break to our brothers over at Villain Arts Tattoos. Check that shit out now and share it out. You already know what to do when Villain Arts Tattoos comes around, and it is time for you to scratch that itch and get yourself a high quality tattoo from Villain Arts convention and take in all the awesome vendors and performers. Don't forget Kansas City. I'm going to be there next month. All right. What's up, Cody? Kyler, what's happening, my brother? Kyler says, yeah, it was, well, a day. So get ready because we got some great information on this killer new record from our wonderful friends.
As always, everybody, please feel free to write your comments, give us your 2 cents, because it helps drive the show and it makes the show better every time.
Absolutely. And we deeply appreciate that. And before we start our synopsis here, I want to know why everybody jumped down Glenn Benton's throat about this album cover. Personally, I think it's badass. But because he used a little bit of AI, tons and tons of people turned it into a controversy. This is one of those cases to me, this is just my opinion, that honestly, I think the art looks really cool. It doesn't look synthetic to me, but I do feel that, it does kind of take away from true artists that create tons of album covers for all these bands. That would be the only downside to that. But how many fucking albums does Deicide have? And if Glenn thought that shit was cool, it's his fucking band. And if the band likes it, that's their prerogative. But man, for weeks and weeks now, Metal Injection, all the fucking, metal, they call it metal news, have just been in an uproar about this. So again, I think we even talked about this on a different show a while back. Because I'm telling you, for like 3 weeks in a row, people are just going ham about the fact that he used some AI. I like the cover. I think the cover looks neat. It's Glenn, obviously, in a very demonically fantastical way. I don't know. What do you think?
The image is fucking amazing, and I really don't give two shits if it's AI or not. Now, when I see people, there's a couple people that follow me on Instagram, and they generate all kinds of AI, and they pretend like they've painted this shit. And this is super complicated shit that would take months to paint, and they're posting 4 or 5 of these things a day. Another thing I don't care about AI is the lighting. It has a similar, they tend to have a similar type of lighting, so you can pick it out right away. But this image is fucking rad. When I saw it, I'm like, this is this fucking album. It's fucking
yeah.
It's satanic. It is scary. It's like perfect. I have no issue with that. Now, let me give people a little bit more background. I have a Bachelor of Fine Art. I have been represented by art galleries. I've had Atlanta Hawks basketball players come through during my 1-person or 2-person opening with like their home designer for their mansion or whatever they have. And so I've been pretty vested. And my wife is a teacher in the Department of Art here, and then she's going to be at the University of Nebraska in Omaha soon. And so we have been so intertwined with art. And my wife does some things in AI, but this doesn't bother me. So there's an artist named Dale Chihuly. If you guys go to any big museum across America, you're going to see his work. It's glass pieces. They're often chandeliers, or he'll do these colored lily pads on the sides of the walls, on the ceilings. Dale Chihuly is a glass blower. Dale Chihuly right now is in his upper 70s, maybe 80s. Got a younger wife. Good for him. He approves sketches now, and he has assistants who basically do everything for him. He just sits there and makes decisions. No, I don't like that aspect of it. Please change this a little bit. Move this over here. Change this. That's what he does. What's the fucking difference between that? He's a world famous artist in AI. Putting in commands, you're making decisions. Somebody else is kind of generating it, but you have a vision for what you want, and you go in and you make changes as you give the prompts. I don't see much of a difference, so I don't know why, especially artists in my wife's department are having shit hissies all the time over AI. What are we going to do about AI? It doesn't fucking, I mean, as far as art goes, it doesn't bother me very much.
I think the biggest problem with AI is there are no laws or copyright laws in place yet in order to protect artists who do use this medium. So pretty much that means anybody can rip it off and say, oh, wait a minute, no, I made it. You know what I mean? That's the only downfall with that. But maybe in this case, since it is protected under the band, especially if they have their own LLC, which I'm sure 30 fucking years later they do, and not to mention the record company that represents them now, I'm sure no one could steal it only because of that. You know what I mean? But it you know, as far as whether or not this album cover is cool or not, I think it's bad fucking ass. So we got a couple things here. Kyler says, I actually refused to listen to the album until I got your guys' opinion and thoughts. I want to listen to this tomorrow with notes. You're going to get a whole bunch of them, brother. So I like it. And then
thanks for the respect, Kyler. That's really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was badass. Cody says, it looks killer, but AI takes tidbits from artists to make a new image, and none of the original artists are credited is the main reason people have an issue with it, I think. I think, honestly, though, because of what Deicide has represented the adversary to literally everything in life, that he would actually do that. They probably, the purists out there probably took it as a sign of he couldn't come up with anything original, so he let AI do it. I really think that's why they were giving him so much shit. I loved his interview. His interview said, I thought it was fucking cool. The band thought it was fucking cool. Everybody liked it. So I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. We like it. That was literally all he had to say about it. Because they had interviewed him about this whole controversy thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Well, now that we've got that out of the way, let's get to the music. Woo, 12 tracks, guys. Mouse bong. Yes, I heard you were in France. Well then. We're glad to have you tonight. She says, this is the first time I've had phone service in 2 days. Woot. All right. Yeah, Belka, greetings from Florida. All right. Fantastic. It's a party now. Mousebong says she'll be back in the States tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Sweet.
Quick.
Very quick. That's all right. You know, I don't know if you would necessarily need 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that, they say, to enjoy another country. Sometimes you can kind of just, I don't know, do it all up in a week or 4 days, 5 days. I don't know.
Well,
but
if you go to
fun over there.
If you go to Southeast Asia or India, something like that, and you get the shits really bad, then you need less than a week. I went to Sri Lanka years ago, and all 3 of us ate the same thing and got sick at the same time. Like the big worry, is the bathroom going to be available when it's my turn? It was awful, horrible food poisoning, or bug in the water poisoning.
Oh, jeez. Woo! Now that we grossed you all out, let's get to it. All right. Let me see here. 12 fucking tracks that actually I feel phenomenally that they opened up with From Unknown Heights You Shall Fall. This is not your usual bashing, because I actually, yes, I did, took time to read through the lyrics of every song. And I got a lot to say about that as we go through this record. But we have almost a like big anthemic style opus as the opening track. It's not fierce ferocity right away. It's a constant build. And that's what I like. You know, when you see that album cover for Banished by Sin, I mean, you already get a sense of what this record is going to be about, right? Well, if it would have just started off with all the way through, just from the start to finish, I think it would have been a mistake. In this case, they have a nice, you know, kind of like good rhythm guitar going on. The drums are doing some sparingly tom work that is building up to the main verse of the track. And I think it was just a great way to open it. It's powerful. It's unrelenting. And, you know, we're going to take a look at somebody else's review of this throughout, and you're going to hear some things from that are going to make you go, what? But I thought this was a great track to open up with. And Glenn's voice, I'm going to tell you now, I don't think I've heard him this good in a while. Everyone has been referencing their big comeback record was in 2018. So obviously there was a spotlight on this record to see if it was going to continue to carry the torch. But from the very beginning, I think it's a great track.
It's you know, and this can be said throughout the entire album. There's really good variety. Everything is at least a mid-tempo, like there's no death doom, funeral doom in it, but everything is like mid-tempo and then there's blast beats, and I love variety in music. And another thing I'll say, especially for this song, is the solo is very melodic. There is more of a melodic element in character throughout the entire album than what I'm used to, or what I have been used to. And everything. And, you know, there are several reviews. There are 4 of them online that I watched. And one was by Blaine Smith of Banger TV. And I normally really, really like Blaine Smith's reviews. But for this one, I've lost a little bit of respect for him. He has, you know, it's okay for us to disagree, but the types of things he was saying sounded very petty and like he had a bone to pick with Glenn. He was really trashing Glenn. He trashed the cover art like anything.
Of course.
He trashed the fucking production of this album. This album, it still sounds raw, but it sounds really clear. He trashed the prominence of the bass. The bass sounds fucking tasty throughout this album. Real funky and prominent. It's really, really good in my opinion. But it's a new record company, and it's a company that is a tech company that's decided to start their own freaking record label. And so who did they get to produce this album? Fucking Josh Wilbur. Now, Josh Wilbur does a good job with the production. I think he did a great job on this album. But to me, he's the reason why Lamb of God isn't as catchy as they used to be. He's improved the last 3 albums, I think. But Lamb of God had like 3 albums in a row that I was just like, no thanks. Like, I loved Sacrament and Ashes of the Wake, which fucking Reaper and I are going to go fucking see Lamb of God, and they're playing the entire Ashes of the Wake album. This is, I think, August 26th. So, you know, Josh Wilbur has produced Korn, Lamb of God, Trivium, Avenged Sevenfold, Megadeth, a lot of other kind of butt rock bands like Papa Roach, A Day to Remember, Tenacious D, Motionless in White, Gojira. He's done fucking Gojira. Suicide Silence, man, not my cup of tea, but that's okay. He has so many really, really good bands that he's produced. And I'm pretty sure he also has produced Mastodon. I might be confusing him with somebody else, but I think he's done like the last 6 albums.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. But to me, this is really well produced. It's fucking raw. It's nasty. I can hear every single instrument in here really, really well. Reaper may not like the kicks on the drum kit. I don't know. Do you like them?
I'm fine.
Because I thought they were a little like not quite your style. Like they're not booming.
They're punchy. They're not ticky. There's a clear distinction between using triggers. That is not a triggered sound. That is a isolated, polished sound where it takes out all the boominess a little bit, brings the highs up, but it's not ticky, like tick, 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 tick. Doesn't sound like that. It's very punchy, and it's very indicative for you drummer heads out there like myself of Vinnie Paul's kick drum. He didn't have the ticky. He had the punchy. So kind of close, in my opinion. And with Taylor Nordberg, who used to be in Inhuman Condition, Rib Spreader, ex-Massacre, and ex-Wombath, joined on with, Deicide here as guitar and backing vocals. Let me just say, what an amazing job. Just from the first track of this record, this guy is badass. The guitar solos are fucking sick. And they're not just the guitar solos themselves, but there's some leads that are going over the rhythm guitar in some of the next few songs we're going to talk about here that I was just like, whoa. And this guy's backing vocals with Glenn are fucking just killer, dude. Amazing.
Yeah, the way they use the high vocals and Glenn's low vocals reminds me a lot of Belfager. If you like Belfager, and I love fucking Belfager, it reminds me a lot of that. But these vocals, and they didn't like how prominent the vocals were in the mix. Blaine didn't. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And I
thought it was fantastic because when you listen to some of those, Scars on the Crucifix, for example, when they're doing that double, that double vocal where you have the low and you have the high, and it sounds so fucking evil. But back in those days, though, it was hard to hear. Like, you really had to, have some seriously good earphones or just a big ass blaster to play it. Having it this prominent was like, yes, I think it highlights the talent. I mean, we all know Glenn's had a great fucking voice, and live, if you've seen him live, they throw down. That is their fucking element. But having a clearer production, and that's something across the board, and I'm telling you, it's these assholes that are so purist, are like, the Florida death metal sound 20 years ago, but guys, technology was so different 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you can still kind of get close to that sound, but with today's boards and everything else and more options, that's another thing. How could you get mad at a band for wanting more options since they're available now? So that's why we have a much clearer mix. Everything is completely balanced super well. And having, like you said, Hoofbeast, having that bass prominent, man, oh, it's just a joy to hear Glenn fucking rip it up. It's fantastic. I love it. Let's see here. Cody said, I listened to this entire album 3 times today to interact, but my day went, yeah. His day kind of went south. He says, but I do know I thoroughly enjoyed the whole album. I did feel a need to skip tracks. Are you saying you did or you didn't? Because he ended up saying it was very enjoyable. For me, I always feel like bands like this that have been around a long time, 30 years or better, there's going to be a couple wonky tracks in there that you're just kind of like, oh, okay. Well, I guess they just had a feel or a need to get that out, and they're just not as strong as the rest of the tracks. That's what I thought. Cody said, I didn't feel a need to skip any tracks. But they do. There is a couple that are just kind of like, okay, all right. Might have, lost a little bit of momentum there, but this album picks right back up. That's the best part of it. Let me see here. Speaking of technology. So obviously there's a theme here, guys. Banished by Sin. There was a recent interview with Glenn, where they were kind of talking about how, he's not really like pushing the whole satanic thing super hard right now or whatever. And he was talking about, I've lost so many people, it's hard to feel what is real. Now, mind you, the guy's only in his 50s. So he's lost a lot of really close people. So for a while, and this is where my point is going, is that some of those albums that were a bit lackluster, I think suffered because of his just genuine disgust for literally everything. When you lose a lot of close friends, especially in this business, it hits you hard. It hits everybody hard. And sometimes your creativity suffers. But with this record, it has absolutely reignited the passion of the adversary in every stretch of the imagination. I'm going to read this for you because, like I said, I was the guy who wanted to go, my ears are not the best after 30 years of live metal. As a drummer, I can't always hear or understand what Glenn is saying, especially with his vocals this prominent. So here are the lyrics from the track called, I know we're kind of fast forwarding a little bit, but I wanted to give you a little bit of genius here of Glenn and his fucking lyrics because they are fucking sick. Taunted by visions, plagued by the gospel, Jesus unrisen, he's never there, and I'm trapped in his prison. Labeled unwanted, left unforsaken, I wish I was dead. When I woke from God, I gave my heart to blasphemy, burning in hell evermore to the end of eternity. What does that speak to you? Exactly what the man was talking about when he's like, I feel like I'm trapped in a hell, not literal hell, but a hell, because his friends keep dropping like flies. And he goes on, curse of creation, born to defy you, symbol of Satan carved into my head, axed from my heart, nothing to no one, silent and empty, withered and wicked, die, never confess. Dude, this album is deep. And I really, really appreciate that too. I've always thought that he was kind of a brilliant lyricist, and it really punches the whole theme to this record and where the anger is coming from. He is so angered at everyone, believing in this, false God, false deity bullshit. And this is him, kind of sticking it to him. And I think it comes across amazingly well. Doomed to Die. That's the next track on this record, and it absolutely punches that whole point home. It's taking you through his little roller coaster of emotions, even though he appears to be emotionless. But just everything that he's lived. I mean, he's much older now. And then we get to the really good stuff. Sever the Tongue. But before I get to that, there's a brilliant lead that is being played at the beginning of Doomed to Die, which I really love that way of doing things. It was clean guitar over top of distorted riffage. And this is another one of those kind of fast tempo, but not necessarily, it's not blast beat or anything like that. It's like the, and it's just real constant. And I just love that groove so much. It's so Sabbathy, you wouldn't even notice it. And the reason I say that is because that is definitely a Bill Ward riff on the drums, but what makes it kind of unrecognizable is the pitter patter of the double kick going. Oh, dude, so groovy, so intense. I love it.
Yeah, that's in my top 3 favorite songs off of the album. My notes are about evil tremolo picking. The tremolo picking for the song is really fucking aggressive and really evil sounding. And there's 2 songs off of my favorite Deicide album, which is the first one. I know Mouse Bong has said that Once Upon the Cross and The Stench of Redemption are her favorites. Yes. You guys can write up what your favorites are as well. Those are both really, really good albums. I can't argue with Mouse Bong, but I got my first Deicide taste on October 1st, 1990, when I got out of Ranger School. And it's the first time I got to go to a mall that had a record store. And I got fucking Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer, Rust in Peace by Megadeth, Prong Peel Sessions, and Deicide. And I will never forget that night going and listening to that album. But I kind of got off track. Back to Doomed to Die. There's 2 songs off of that first album. This song is very gallopy, kind of like how that first album is often very gallopy. Whenever they hit the mid-tempo, it's a galloping type of mid-tempo. So like when you hear Blaspherion, but even more is Sacrificial Suicide. The lyric delivery, although it's different lyrics, really reminds me and takes me back to the old Deicide, like for the first 3 albums, a lot.
Yes, I also agree with that. Because, I mean, you got to figure, as many records as they have, you don't think they ever go back and rehearse some of those songs from that record and not go, damn, this was just great shit. And then suddenly becomes a birthing of a new song in that vein, but completely different. What's wrong with that? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because, it gives you that flavor of, the old school Deicide, but at the same token, it's still very new and very fresh. I guess that's what you would say is refreshing.
Did you get a prominent bass? Because you can hardly hear the bass. You don't hear the bass much in that first record. But boy, you hear in this one, I really like it. I really like the production on this. So I totally disagree with 3 of the people who I watched reviews for who had some issue with the production. That's bullshit to me. I fucking love it. It's raw still. It's really raw.
Enter my point. So it says, right off the bat, the sound on Banished by Sin is oddly polished and clean, which goes against expectations for a damp Floridian death product. It almost sounds like an Iced Earth album with the guitars ringing so clear, which is odd considering this is undeniably old school Death. Opener from Unknown Heights You Shall Fall is basic, Deicide, fair in most respects. It swerves from mid-tempo chugs to thrashing freakouts, with Benton's signature vomitous snarls poured thickly over the top like tarpoo gravy. It's a good song, and the fluid melodic solos are quite impressive. And then it goes on to say, let's see here, what else? Just kind of, it says, it's good caveman fun and heavy enough to leave an ugly bruise despite the overly clean sound. Look at how many times he referenced that. And this is some completely different guy. That synopsis comes from theangrymetalguy.net. Angry indeed. Fuck you for saying that. It's like I was telling Beast before. He loves it, he hates it. He loves it, he hates it.
Yeah, every review I've ever read by him, he's really contradictory. He contradicts himself all the time.
Yes. Mousebong says self-titled is for sure a DM staple. Of course. Absolutely. Always will be. But you always want to try to bring it on every record. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. Just like that record, every album is supposed to get better. And like I've said before, people go through shit, man. Especially in metal. Shit, sometimes we go through it more than any other artist there is out there. All the poppy people and all that, happy-go-lucky bullshit. We go through it a lot, and, sometimes you're going to get kind of a lackluster album, but this album is far from it. Like I said, they keep going crazy about Overtures of Blasphemy. They said that was their big Sign of Life comeback record, that after a small string of bad records prior, that was the one that really brought, hope, I guess, to Deicide fans. I wouldn't exactly say that. I would just say they got the head out of their ass and got creative, because it is a great record. But you can't tell me that this one doesn't stand up against that. I kind of refuse.
Yeah, I found the other one to be a little bit more forgettable. There's things for this album that when I listen to it intently with good headphones or right on my decent speakers, I'm just like, fuck yeah. And the fucking vocals are amazing. Fuck, everything is really, really good. I love the mix. I have no issue with it.
I think it's the best that they could have ever have gotten, and fucking A right for them, man. I'm happy. I bet you that's what they've wanted for a long time, and just couldn't find the right guy to do it the way they want it. I don't think that they were told that this is how it should sound. It really kind of feels like they wanted everything to be different and more in the fray, especially that bass.
Yeah, it's different, but it really does nod to the first three albums.
Yeah, and I mean, for the times, those first three records, I mean, that was perfect. It was good. Very hard to hear the drums sometimes, though. You could hear certain things, but it wasn't clear. Like you hear and feel every hit on this record, and I love that. The drummer's doing a phenomenal job. So why don't we check out this little lusty tidbit here called Severed Tongue. Dude, those time changes. I love it. It reminds me of a couple of Cannibal Corpse tunes. Shoot, I'm trying to think what album though, where there was like those time changes, the way the riffs are done, that and you can feel where it starts and stops, so it doesn't just sound like madness. I just think the way that song ebbs and flows, whew, man, love that fucking song. Great video.
That's my favorite. The video is so fucking brutal. Like the video's really good too. But
yeah, you guys got the TV version. Sorry.
That's my favorite song off of the album. It's really galloping, and this song really, just like Doomed to Die, really has that first Deicide album feel, that type of galloping. And this is where I really think I'm hearing the Belfager kind of vocals together. Or you could say this is just Deicide, but it sounds a little bit closer to how Belfager and the lyrics are fucking brutal for this one, and the video does not disappoint. It goes right along with it. Like, it's a little hard to watch, the video. It's really fucking, it suggests some major violence.
I was sitting there just popping popcorn watching that motherfucker, man. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. So just to give you a brief look into those amazing lyrics for this. Wrath of the holy, God is no more. Satan possesses me, no savior reborn. Fuck your religion, sever the tongue. Source of division, the cross of the righteous one. I mean, and this was my favorite part of the words too. How dare you pray for me, unwanted? Don't need your sympathy, unneeded. That's kind of the way I feel when people stop me in a store and say, I'll pray for you. I'm like, don't you fucking dare do that. And he's saying that. And I was like, yeah, this is for all of us that are tired of people saying that shit to us. So, I mean, suffer the faithful, tainted and stained, bleed the forgiven, the Bible has been erased, God denounced, Son of the Holy Ghost, beasts of the depths of hell, something you cannot see, the end of hypocrisy. Just brilliant. I absolutely love it. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked out that video, you can find it. It's not hard to find. As a matter of fact, it's almost one of the most watched ones at the moment, as far as I know. So, but yeah, that old school flavor is just amazing. Cody says something really, really cool here. He says, death changes people, especially death of loved ones. And it does, because it's not so much that it weakens us. It lets us know, like, we thought we were unstoppable. You know what I mean? Like, and then people just start dropping. I've recently, in the last 10 years, have lost quite a few people that I grew up with. And it's like, dude, what the hell's going on? It's like suddenly people just start dropping, and it makes you think. But there are those where it just takes them down. And then there are those that goes, okay, I'm now looking at life a little bit more, in a different point of view. So I'm just going to keep doing what I do because I love it. I love my life, so I'm going to live it to the fullest. And I definitely feel Glenn is definitely out of that funk because, this record, fantastic. Austin says, very true. I've lost 2 family members and 2 friends that were like family to me, and it has definitely changed me. I completely agree. It does. And like I said, especially as an artist, I think your creativity gets a little stifled. Your heart's not full on in there. I think this is Glenn emerging from the pit of despair.
Yeah, and another thing about this song that I really like is there's a refrain that kind of a layering in the song where they've got kind of not a polyrhythm, but two kind of counter things that are going on but work together in there. And I really like that aspect because I haven't heard that aspect with them like I did in this album. So. Yeah,
like I said, there is that it feels like they kind of go out of time a little bit, like you said, the poly stuff. It reminds me of that one Cannibal Corpse record, Wretched Spawn. They did that quite a bit in that record, and it was just really cool to hear them do it. And it was so charging and so machine gunny, like in the guitars, the staccato parts that they do actually throughout a lot of these songs. I think the guitars really brought it because it just makes things so much more, I don't know, what I like to call shotgun. Because it's like quick bursts and it's like very percussive. Man, I can go on and on about that. But there is definitely more songs. Woke from God, like I had read the lyrics earlier, is definitely one of my favorites. Is it that one or Failures of... No, I think it is Woke from God, where they have a lead going over top, almost dissonant, while everything is heavy underneath of it. Do you remember that, Hoof Beast? Or do I have the wrong tune?
I don't remember that.
Crap.
I've listened to the album about 7 times. Yeah. What I wrote on that one is really melodic and that it's a super fast song, really driving and fast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I love that one a lot. Ritual Defied had some good moments, but I kind of felt that it was a little bit more, I don't know, just okay. It wasn't a top track for me.
It's not as memorable, and I felt like that track really harkened back to the old Deicide a lot, but without anything quite so new or like, wow, like Sever the Tongue is different. It feels a lot like them, but it's still different in good God.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm saying that it's a bad tune. I like you said, I think the best way to say it is that it's just not as memorable or stands out like the ones that we've been talking about thus far. We skipped over probably one of the best tracks on the record, in my opinion. And we got unholy blessed with this track just in time for Xmas. And it was dropped literally right before Xmas Day. And I thought that was genius. I remember doing a post when that came out saying that thank you, Deicide, for saving us from the Xmas season. Because Bury the Cross with Your Christ is by far the best blasphemy treat that we could have got back in December of 2023. Before we really kind of pick it apart, how about we take a little bit of a listen to it? There's that gallop you were talking about. I mean, it's such a straightforward tune that it's just almost kind of anthemic a little bit, if I can say that about a Deicide song. But it's charging, it's unrelenting, and there's nothing about it that I don't love. And the guitar squeals are insane. I absolutely, if anyone says that the whammy bar has no place, or any of those like crazy squeals that guitarists can do, they're full of shit. Because every time I hear it in that track, it just gives me the chills.
Yeah, it's a Satan squeal for sure. It might have been the song "Faithless." This "Bury the Cross with Your Christ" is in my top 4 of the album out of the 12. But one, did we talk about "Faithless"?
We did not.
Yeah, "Faithless" is right after "Sever the Tongue." It's the 4th track, and this to me is a more melodic song. This is quite a melodic song for them, and surprisingly melodic to me. It's good, and it's also very atmospheric, which is a totally different flavor, in my opinion, for Deicide. And when there's some tremolo picking in this one, it reminds me more of black metal.
Now, I bet you that's a little bit of an influence from that new guitarist in there. Like maybe he kind of like brought that in with him. Because I'm not sure if he's rhythm or lead. But
because according to the sleeve from the CD that I got it on the day it came out. I got it that night and ran down to listen to it. Josh Wilbur did not produce the album. He only mixed it and mastered it, but he did not.
Oh, wow.
So it's produced by Deicide. So Deicide came up with all of this, and good on them on their own. They really weren't influenced by anybody else.
I mean, you know that they're all listening to all different types of metal, just like we do. And there's a chance that that kind of one of the members was just really digging a little bit of that black metal flavor, and bringing that in, I think, showed a new dimension to what they can do. And that, to me, just ups their game. It wasn't too far cry of a stretch for them to do as far as like taking a chance in music. Melodic, yeah, that might have been a stretch for them because they're not really known for that. But the melodicism is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound like it was forced. Very well crafted song, in my opinion. And one of the things, we keep referencing some of these reviews that we've been checking out. People have been complaining that the songs are short. What bearing does that have on a fucking banger of a tune? I would say if it was 2 minutes and 50 seconds, and it's like this really like gung-ho, hard fucking hitting tune, you're going to want a little bit more of it, sure. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they complained specifically that it was under 4 minutes, what in the literal hell? Just because it's under 4 minutes. Could there be anything else to be upset with? Who are these people? I want to know.
It's like petty reviews. I will tell you a good one that's on YouTube, and I really like these guys. I agree with them almost all the time. And they are called Thralls of Metal. And they're out of this, I don't know if you'd call this state wonderful, but they're out of Ohio. What do you think about that,
Well, my opinion is this when it comes to Ohio. The best bands are underground. The ones that get anywhere are just fabrications of what they think is hot on the West Coast.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they seem like they have a legit view on things, and they're probably good, really good underground listeners. They're not plagued by, what's being played on the radio, Five Finger Death Crunch, and all those other assholes, that they're constantly playing and saying this is great metal. They obviously have a pen show for the heavier, more delightful, and unpleasant bands like Deicide. So I am super cool with that. That's good, though. I'll have to check theirs out. I haven't. The one thing that I will definitely say that the title track, Banished by Sin, is in my top 4. Very few times does a title track of a record actually kick ass. There is nothing that is not kick-assery on this track. I dig it. It's something that I could definitely listen to time and time again. I really kind of identify with what he is saying in this track. I don't know. How did this one grab you?
This one is one I need to listen to a little bit more. A lot of at the tail end, except for I did really like I Am I, Curse of Death. I thought that one was really good variety in there. Like the way I am, I like variety. I don't like things to be too straightforward. Banished by Sin was one of the ones that it didn't really get to me yet, but I still need to listen to this album more, and I will.
Exactly. But I mean, you've also listened to it 7 times.
So there you go.
So maybe, hopefully by the 10th.
Yeah, it's not one that's really captured me. Probably.
I don't know. Maybe it's honestly the lyrical content and the drumming, I think, is great on the track. I like what's happening, guitar wise. But this one is this is probably one of the most deepest lyrical offerings on this record. Destined to darkness for what I believe, sins of the devil empowering me. Holy excision that can't be explained, burned by religion. I do not expect to be saved, enslaved. Everything evil that lives in my heart, banish my soul as I tear yours apart. Haunted by silence for what I perceive, ghosted again by your God that has never been seen. I mean, and there's so much more here too. The chorus that gets repeated. I think that's another thing that people were kind of like, well, anytime somebody does a chorus twice in a row, it's because they've ran out of content. I don't know. I feel like his lyric writing kind of it fits. It gets what's needed to be said. The feelings are there. And honestly, I think this chorus was really good. It's not like he took one word and chanted it over and over and over again, like some people we know out there that's really boring. But in this case, I thought it was pretty appropriate. It's definitely one of the shorter tracks, too.
Yeah, we need to say goodnight to Mousebong. Mousebong stayed up till 4 freaking a.m. for us. That was fucking awesome. So you guys will get Mousebong next week in a lot more. She's often a lot of fun.
Return of the Lady Boner.
And yeah, Austin's made a lot of good comments on here. Facts.
Absolutely.
The independent scene is where it's at 100%.
Yes. And Austin also said, he says, I'm a Christian and I still like what I just heard. Pretty awesome as a metal song for real. He also says that the idea of how long a song is really should not have a bearing on the creativity.
Yeah.
So, some other super kick-ass tracks. I haven't gotten all the way through A Trinity of None yet. I loved how it began, but you know, I tend to flip around a little bit because sometimes a title of a song catches me, and I'm like, oh shit, I want to hear it right now. I don't know if anybody else out there in Morgrot Universe gets like that, but it's like if it ignites a feeling in me, I'm going to listen to that and then go back and catch up what I missed. Though the Light Defeated was a great fucking way to end the record. I really dug it. Heavy as fuck. There's not a weak song on the record. There's just aren't as rememberable, and this one definitely is for me. And I Am a Curse of Death. I really dug as well. For all the reasons that we've said about a lot of the stuff on this record. And it was kind of funny because the guy from the Angry Metalhead, what a name, right? Really had something nasty to say about that song for some reason. I'm just curious to get your opinion. There we go. He says the title track is just okay, and I a Curse of Death is pretty stock. He says at a tight 39 minutes with no song reaching the 4-minute mark, things blast by in an angry blur, and then goes on to talk about the production is too well.
Yeah.
What the fuck does pretty stock mean? He says because everything just goes by super fast.
You know, I have sat on a jury before, and folks, I hope none of you ever have to have a jury judge a case for you, because my insight after being on a jury before is there's some stupid fucking sheep on a fucking jury, and they're not fucking thinkers. They're not critical thinkers. They're not able to juggle a few ideas and hold to what the judge has told you what the law is and where you're supposed to come forth. They want to go off. They don't. It's like they're fucking dumb. So like when I was on the jury one time, the foreman, his first statement to us after we went to deliberate was, well, this is an easy one. We should be out of here in about an hour. This guy's guilty is obviously guilty. And then he asked for a vote right away. And so I cock blocked him on the vote big time. And I said, wait a second. No. We need to discuss this because I do not agree with what you're saying because of this, this, and this. And I fucking flipped everybody on there because I said we need to consider this. The judge told us this is the law and this is what we are to assess where they have or where they've stayed within the law. And he was always kind of my adversary for the next 2 days because we deliberated for 2 days on this case. It was a domestic violence case, but really interesting. But my analogy is that there's fucking people that make no fucking sense. And of course, I hate rap. So Austin's written something about rap. I want to do a show about why metalheads do not respect rap. So I could go on about that. I mean, lyrics written by a 4th grader to a 6th grader for the most part. A drum beat that drives everything that could have been tapped on by a fucking 4th grader. Give me a break. So anyway,
it's coming.
anyways, these guys, some of these people don't have an ability. They have some sort of prejudices that come forth, and they don't have an ability to be biased, in my opinion. Or to be unbiased.
And I absolutely agree with you on that. And at the same token, I think that a lot of these new writers, people with opinions, have something against bands that have been around a long time and actually made a mark. You know what I mean? Because, some of the bands, very few, and you know this to be true, in the early 2000s have survived the 10-year mark or the 20-year mark. We're talking about a band that has been around since 1990, right along carrying the charge of death metal. Only in this case, it is very satanic death metal at that. And they are excellent at what they do. And here they are in 2024, still going strong. And some of these young cats can't stand that. They're like, this ain't the future. Why are these old guys hanging around? It's like the teenager versus, the older folks going, well, when I was your age. You know what I mean? It's like they just throw their fucking nose at it because, Will Ramos is hot right now. You know what I mean? Like they put it up against all the other super extreme stuff. But I'm like, they're in their own lane. They're not trying to do anything like that. They're not trying to be tech death, math core, whatever you want to call it. They ain't trying to do that. They're doing what they do, but in a very awesome, creative way. They're up in their game.
Well, to me, Lorna Shore is the Will Ramos show, though. To me, there's nothing memorable, nothing that I want to listen to from them. Yeah, I would rather listen to that than fucking Lil Wayne or fucking Shakira or some of this pop shit that's out there. But it's just not my cup of tea. I love listening to Will Ramos and what he can do, but the rest of the band is just meh.
Austin says metal and rap, not tape. My bad. Autocorrect is overstepping again. That gets me all the time. He says, I do agree. Metal and rap should definitely be separated for sure. Rock rap, okay, but metal with rap, just nah. Y'all saw what happened to Limp Bizkit. I wish they never happened, to be perfectly honest. But anyway, I don't know. I really don't have anything else bad to say about this record. I can honestly say I am going to continue to listen to it over and over again. Obviously, again, preface this, my top 4 faves are probably what I'm going to listen to the most. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Probably a top 5 because I really do like that The Light Defeated song. But I would say I could honestly give this a 4.2 to, I'm on the fence because I really want to say 4.5 because I feel like this band, this iconic band in my world, and obviously some of you guys out there in the Morgrot universe as well, I want to say 4.5 because I feel like creatively they're bringing it, and we know that there was that little slump for a while, but damn it, since 2018 and now Banished by Sin, there's no signs of them falling down or falling behind or anything. I feel like they're stronger now than they have been in years. And I dig that shit, and I respect the fuck out of Glenn Benton. He is my dream interview next to a few other people. So, Glenn, if you want to come on the show, we would love to speak with you, sir. Because believe me, I'm trying. There's like 50 channels to try to get to some of these guys. I just haven't broken through yet.
Yeah, I really like the last track, which is The Light Defeated. It's pummeling and it has great variety in it. So like as I kind of give my synopsis of this album, um, I'll start off by saying I would say it's about a 3.5 to 4 stars for me. Um, the biggest strengths to me that I enjoy that really stand out are the vocals.
Big
Glenn's
time.
vocals by himself, his deep vocals, I just love them. They're so forceful and they're so Glenn. Nobody sounds like him. And the
Nope.
way, I don't know if they have somebody backed up that does the higher vocals, the higher registry. It
Yeah, that's clear.
live live Glenn kind of goes back and forth. He does both of them, but I didn't pay attention last time I saw them. Who else was doing the backing vocal? I think it was the bald guitarist that was doing them some. So I really love the vocals. I really love the bass being prominent and out front. And I love the variety that's in there. They slow down and they're mid-pace. And they speed the fuck up. It's really good. It's Deicide without a doubt. To me, not their strongest album, but it's a really good offering. Like I'll listen to this a lot. It might make my top 10 of the year. Who knows?
I mean, okay, I definitely agree with the vocals and the bass being as prominent because you really get to hear how good of a fucking musician the guy is. I mean, just watching him in that Sever the Tongue video, the way he drops his jaw when he's delivering his vocals, it's like a demon opening its mouth, getting ready to clamp down on you and feast upon your flesh. I love that shit. I have to say that the way the drummer and the guitar riffs, the choppiness, the synchronicity, especially with on one track, they even go into more of a triplet feel, which is a little different for them because that's not something they normally do. And like I said, the way that a lot of the riffage is percussive, staccato style. I love that shit. There's like quick pauses in between, not very indicative of what they've done in the past. So, I mean, those are my strong points for the record, and by far, lyrically, I think this is a masterpiece of a record for them.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a solid effort. Not quite a whole 5 stars, just because, like I said, there are a couple of tracks on the record that just they didn't move me the way some of the others did. So it's really going to be up to you guys, the Morgrat universe, to check this record out and give it a spin, man. See what grabs you, and if you want to tell us next time. If some of you guys, like Kyler, decided not to listen to the record until hearing our synopsis, let us know what your favorites were. Even though we'll probably be doing a different topic next Monday, but still, let us know which tracks really stuck out to you and, that you were passionate about and the things that you liked about it. Mm-hmm. Especially if you've heard, again, those iconic first 3 records of Deicide and putting it up against today. What you liked about it, maybe what you didn't like about it. I think it's great to have these discussions because it just makes you more of a, I don't know, I don't want to say serious listener, but more educated listener, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's not like you could throw a Deicide record on and, get bong ripped or drunk and go, yeah, this record fucking rocks. I mean, that's just not how that works. You really got to listen to it and see if it moves you. Now, stoner metal, that's a whole different story.
I will say that there's a couple of nights when I listen to the album with the help of the Devil's Lettuce, and I really like the tracks that the tracks that I didn't care for as much, because there are some that they're good, maybe not as strong as the others. I felt like when I was with the Devil's Lettuce, I felt like the whole album was fucking perfectly solid. And then the next day I listened to it without the influence, and then I was like, I thought that I really, really liked these other couple songs. But that's what happens for me with doom metal. When I listen to like stoner doom especially, like it's so slow and it's so repetitive that it kind of bores me when I'm not under the influence. But when I'm under the influence, there are things that you hear that are more pronounced and that separate also. Like it separates the instruments better, where I can hear everything better.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay, I retract my prior statement. I guess if it helps some of you, shit, do it, man. For me, this is a record, whether I'm in my happy, buzzy state or not, this album rocks to me. And a solid effort from them. So a testament to that Florida death metal scene, man. Still bringing it after all this time and still relevant as fuck. So to all the naysayers out there that are giving them a bunch of shit for whatever reason they want to do, no, I don't think so. All right. Definitely, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This has been our review of Deicide's new record, Banished by Sin. Give it a spin, man, and see how it moves you, what you like about it. And we look forward to hearing from y'all which ones were some of your favorite tracks. And, and for most definitely choosing us for your Monday night entertainment here on Morgrot Entertainment, because I know Mondays are tough, but today was particularly tough for a lot of us. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. And if any of y'all missed it, it's on the replay. Go to Reapers Underground YouTube, Black Flame Entertainment YouTube, as well as Reapers Underground on Facebook, and watch that shit, because maybe this is going to resonate with you. And if you haven't given the record a chance yet, it might actually get you to want to, because I don't know, they're legendary for a reason. They kick fucking ass.
And
Glenn,
and please go on YouTube and give us a like there and drop a comment. That really helps us get into the mix in the soup with everybody else, because there's a lot of reviewers out there that I'm pretty disappointed in. I don't think that they have the background that we do, and I don't think they have the sincerity. I think they're reviewing too many albums sometimes and not kind of getting into it as much as we try. Like, I think we're pretty fucking sincere.
Absolutely, because honestly, a lot of these reviewers, like you said, are pretty biased. This might not be in their wheelhouse, as it were. So naturally, they're going to try to pick it apart. Well, that's no fun, because you're not getting honesty or sincerity. So definitely share this out anywhere and everywhere to every metal lover you know, and get their opinion of this record as well. And tell them to check out what we thought about it. So as you're getting ready to continue on in this wonderful week as we go into May. Holy shit. Don't forget, there are there's a double shot Reapers Underground this Thursday and Friday. We're going to be talking about two very anticipated films that are about to be released, which is Killer Summer Camp 2, as well as, damn it, I'm forgetting what the second one is. Holy shit. Crackoon, because what's better than a creature feature featuring a raccoon who has smoked or somehow eaten a bunch of crack and begins to kill everyone? I think that's a good time. And then me, the director and lead star of my upcoming film, Grinners, will be on Friday. So tune in for those two action-packed shows. But man, as you're going into tomorrow and you really don't want to go to work, throw on some Sever the Tongue or bury your cross with your Christ. Just remember, Glenn wants you to absolutely stay heavy.